Yo, what's going on, Serpa Squad? Tanner here. It's a beautiful day out right now. We've actually been having a stretch of nice weather here. It looks like spring is just about here. I really hope so because I'm tired of being cooped up inside. I need to get outside. I gotta go enjoy nature. I gotta be around the ponds, all that stuff. So while we're talking about the ponds, I'm doing my spring maintenance or my pre-spring maintenance right now. So let me show you what's going on. The first thing I did was go around and try to get rid of the bulk of the leaves around here. We've got a lot of mature trees, so a lot of the leaves fall off and they try to get themselves in the pond. But luckily this season I remember to put the net on, and because I did that, whenever I took it off a day ago, there's virtually no leaves in here. There might be like 10 that I could see, but cleanup was really easy this time. There was a little bit of algae in the back there that I had to pull out, but otherwise, I mean, I really had to do nothing. Take the net off, pull out that algae, and it was good. And naturally, as soon as I was doing that, the fish, they came out, they wanted to see what was going on, and I was really excited to see them. I was actually having a bad day that day that I was doing it, and when I saw the fish, they brought a smile to my face. That was pretty cool. I haven't seen any babies just yet, but I'm sure that there's some in there. And while we're speaking about babies, let me take you inside real quick. And introducing on the channel for the first time, could I get a drum roll, please? PD, my man, my dude. This is by far one of our favorite fish in the room right now. My wife absolutely loves him and named him Petey. I typically don't come up with any of the names, but this little dude is an absolute character. We love him, and it's pretty sad because in a couple of months, he's got to go back into the pond in the backyard. But quick story about why he's even in this tank here. So if you recall, whenever I first set up the 350-gallon paludarium, I put water hyacinth in there. Those came from the backyard pond, which is where the goldfish are. I did rinse them off, so I assumed that nothing would really transfer over, but a couple days after having them in the tank, I saw a couple things squirming around in there. Initially, I thought it was mosquito larvae, but upon closer inspection, it was baby goldfish. So I put them all in this tank. I believe there was 3, if I remember correctly, and unfortunately the other ones didn't make it, but here we are several months later, and we got Petey here. He's about a little over an inch long. I figured let's raise him up in the winter, have a little goldfish friend inside for a little while, because as you know, goldfish are by far one of my favorite fish. But that's Petey, everybody. I figured I'd show him real quick. As I said though, spring is definitely on its way. We've got a lot of the plants already popping back up. The irises back here. Everything is really just starting to spring up. I love to see it. And I just love to see this pond doing, honestly, just doing better and better. It's funny because obviously it was the first pond I ever built. There's a little bit of jankiness to it, but overall I think it's a solid design, and the fact that the water always stays crystal clear, algae is pretty much at a minimum in it. The fish thrive and breed and everything like that. I'd say that it was a successful operation. And why don't we go to the front yard now? It's a similar story to the one out back. It appears to be doing quite well. I had a decent amount of algae that I had to take out the other day, but not nearly as much as last year. One of the key points about this pond though is the moss situation. If we come up here by the main waterfall, look at all that good moss there. And if we just go down the waterfall, it's just all over the place. And even on this rock down here, completely covered with moss. I love it. I really want to have it all over the place here just to naturalize it. And another thing about this pond that I cannot wait for is I can't wait till Wellington, our frog, comes back. Last summer, man, he'd come out every day looking for night crawlers, so I really hope he comes back again this year. And that would be 3 years in a row, because he came legit like a day or 2 after we built this, and as a baby, I should say. Just a friendly reminder to like and subscribe. But unfortunately, not all is well with the pond. It was probably about 3 days after Christmas. We had a pretty warm day, and I came out here just to check on the pond, see how everything was doing, because the days prior to that we had a lot of snow, so it all melted, and I was just checking up on the pond. And as soon as I came out, I looked down into the basin here, and both of my catfish were laying belly up, dead. And man, I was really upset about that, because the catfish, they were my favorite fish in here. I trained them to hand feed, all that kind of stuff. And what's even sadder about it is the other day when I was cleaning out the pond, I pulled this up, I was cleaning out the filter, and I noticed that there was a baby catfish in there. It was probably about 3 inches long, which means that they were having babies. So I don't know if there are baby catfish still alive in here, or if it was just a one-off, if they all died along with the adult catfish. But man, I'm really upset about it. I love those fish, but I guess that's what happens, you know. I actually put the fish in the freezer, and what I'll do is, you know how I have the tree here commemorating MJ, I'll, you know, dig a hole somewhere around here, put the catfish in it along with their baby, and I'll get a plant to put up in there. But the plants aren't really available right now, so it's gonna have to wait for a little bit. As far as what happened, I really don't have a clue. My initial thought was that it was something that affected the entire pond, but when I looked in here the other day, I saw the sunfish swimming around, so clearly that's not the case. One of my thoughts is that the drastic change in temperature had an effect on the catfish. So it was really cold, and then within a day or two, it warmed up about 30 degrees or so, and maybe it just warmed up the pond too fast, and the catfish had an adverse effect to it. But as I said, the other fish are fine, so I really don't know what happened. If you have any ideas, let me know down in the comments, but I have no idea. Not all is bad news though. I finally got the Suriname toad's new tank dialed in. All of their parameters are staying very consistent. The tank is staying clean, which is a good sign that everything that happened previously is over and done with. However, we just gotta get these guys into their new tank. So what do you think, Pancake? You wanna go into your new tank? I think she does. I'm seriously so excited to finally get them in this tank. As many of you know, it's been a really long time coming, but I don't like to rush anything with the animals, and my primary goal is to ensure that I put them in an environment that's safe for them and that they're going to thrive in. And my hope is that's exactly what's going to go on here, because I've been checking the parameters, the temperature, all that stuff, and it's very consistent with their previous tanks. So if they were doing really well in there, in theory they should do just as well, if not better in here, because it's actually scaped. They can hide down in the leaves and hide within the crevices of the scape, all that stuff. I kept the previous one bare bones because it was just easy to clean. No point in going all out for a quarantine tank and excessively having to clean it, that kind of stuff. Something I did to this tank after I added the toads that I should probably mention is I dosed the tank with bacteria. Although it was cycled before I put them in here, I figured it made sense to add FritzZyme and Monster 360 to the tank to offset the new bioload that the toads and their eating habits are going to add. Of course, these were provided by Fritz, who is a channel sponsor, but this is something that I would do regardless, and a setup that's going to house larger animals like this. I can't wait to share more of these incredible animals though. They're really awesome to me. And I know that they're not everybody's cup of tea, but hopefully I can change that moving forward. And I have noticed some slight breeding activities from them. I don't know if it was just a fluke, if it's nothing, but I have seen things that looked pretty close to amplexus. So hopefully we'll get these guys breeding at some point. I think that would be really cool. I know that it's off-putting to a lot of people, but I think it's fascinating. It's not gross to me at all. So I think that'd be really cool to share, but that's enough on these guys. More on them in the future, but I have a lot of other stuff I want to share with you. The other thing I want to talk about real quick is with the gecko vivariums here. They're doing really well and the geckos seem to really be enjoying them, but what I did to make my life a little bit easier is I finally installed that Mist King mist system I got about 2 years ago. I just pulled that down so you can see it, but I've got them in all of the corners of these tanks, or in the front corners at least. I have one nozzle. I don't think they create enough spray, so what I'll do is I'll get a second set to install in the other corner of each tank, so there will be 2 per tank, 6 total on that system. And it's just something that I'm doing to make my life a little bit easier. A word of caution though, every time that you add automation to your tanks and that sort of thing, it can add for things to go wrong, and Also, for me at least, whenever I was spraying my tanks daily, that was a time where I could really check up on everything, make sure that everything within the tanks was going well. And when you add automation like that, inevitably you could get kind of lazy. I'm not saying that's what I'm going to do or that's what you would do, but it is something to consider if you ever go down the automated route. So just take a consideration to it. But this is just something that I really want to do to make my life easier, add just a little bit more automation to the animal room, so that way as I add more tanks, it takes a little bit more of a burden off of me. Not that it takes very long to just go and spray things manually. I actually like doing that, and we'll probably still do it from time to time, but just something that I've been meaning to do for a while, and I think it's pretty cool that I did. While we're talking about adding on tanks, I have this 40-gallon down here, which is where the Suriname toads are. This is the third of the 40 gallons on my rack here that I still got to set up. So if you have any suggestions on what you think I should do with this, definitely let me know. And as far as other uninhabited tanks go, we also have the 2 plywood vivariums up here, which I got to dismantle. That's where Henry and Delilah were, my crested geckos. Now they're in that other tank, obviously. So I'm going to have to empty those out, and I could do something totally different with them. What? I don't know. That's for you guys to decide. Let me know down in the comments. I just have a few more things I wanted to share with you real quick. I finally got this tank sealed up, looking good, and I just got to do the outside. I have to stain it and then order in the glass to make the sliding doors, and then I also have to make a canopy for on top. I did it that way so that way I can make this as tall as possible to where it fits in the door, and then, you know, I'll add the canopy on top after I get it in, because it's legit like a 1/2 inch to 1 inch shorter than the door frame. So it's as big as I could possibly make it and still fit it in the room, but I'm really excited for it. Cannot wait to share with you guys what I'm gonna do with it, because it's gonna be awesome. Never seen anything like it on the channel, I can tell you that. I'm also making some good progress on the 90 over here. I should have it mostly done by the end of this weekend, and we'll be doing the video on that very soon. I've also been working on the 210 here, which I should have done pretty soon. As you can tell, I'm working on a lot of big stuff right now, so that's all I have for you in this one. I gotta get back to work. As always, I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time, Serpa Squad. Take care, and peace.